Greetings, ladies and gents, and welcome to today's edition of Tales from Outer Space, where I take stories from across the internet and read them for your entertainment. I'm going to sound a bit strange today because I'm still dealing with whatever strain of who knows what my plague rat has produced this week. Anyways, on to the story. Piczakeepers, written by AdmiralStarNight. As long as the Federation had existed, there had always been a variety of creatures making up its members, with a vast swath of cultures to go along with them. Not every race was in love with living planet-side as some, preferring ships, stations, or asteroids. It was this mild thought that kept Federal Investigator McCoy as their ship skimmed over a now-abandoned junk station in a star system that had long been abandoned by normal beings due to how far it was outside of Federation protection. This station had, in its heyday, hosted command of the mining operations, some large community modules, and even a garden for the herbivores to snack on from time to time. Once abandoned, however, rather than pirates, a group of Picza moved in. Piczas were a sort of satellite member of the Federation. They were along the insect line of aliens, and a habit of moving and splitting their groups often, taking up residence in the oddest of places that always seemed to have food supply of plants and water for them. They weren't quite pests, but most of the large core stations denied docking rights to their ships for fear of being infested and unable to get rid of them, since they were technically not allowed to be there. They frowned and looked over to the tech manning the sensors. "Do you see anything?" "No," she replied, shaking her iridescent ears in frustration. "Station is completely cold. They moved out and pretty much locked the door behind them. What are they doing?" This is why there was a Federal Investigator on the case. Piczas might be a pain, but when groups of them started straight up vanishing, there was a problem. No bodies, no weapon damage. They were just straight up disappearing. If one or more aggressive aliens out there were doing some sort of holy genocide, the Federation was going to crack down hard. "I have to go talk to my boss. If anything changes, come tell me," McCoy said with a flip of ears, crawling off the bridge of the ship to their office, coning up in the comfortable seat before putting a call into the head of the Galactic Federation Investigative Services. The fuzzy white alien that answered blinked at them and seemed to deflate. "I can tell by how flat your ears are. It isn't good." "No, ma'am," McCoy replied. "This is the 6th group this week. No signs of a struggle, no ships, no ransom notes or holy declarations. Nothing. Where are they going? Who is doing this?" "That is why we have you on the case. Anyways, I'm glad you took a call, Choi. We have a tip." Their ears went up and began to shimmer with excitement. "What?" "There was a Picza group that Vitae Moore Station had been trying to get rid of for ages. A source out there says there were more unusual Terran visitors to the station talking to both the station owners and the Picza. And recently the Picza all got up and left. No split off group. Left. Gone." McCoy flipped to their tail. Eyes narrowed. "The Terrans? Humans? What would they want with the Picza? So do they have any infestations of them? Are they hunting them?" "Not that my people embedded there can tell, but I'm forwarding the source's report to you, Choi. Get on it." A bit of reading and some travel time later, McCoy found themselves looking down at a planet that was not the anchor for the Vita Small Station, but a lush planet covered in a patchwork of greens and browns far too regular to be natural. Some hard reading into the report and the tip had managed to make a connection to the planet of Valley, an unimpressively named crop planet and a core world side of the Terran Republic. Their ears flicked as they surveyed a large group of freighters in orbit, taking on foodstuff to bring back to the more populated worlds. No large stations for Picza to live on. So why did his research bring up the coordinates for this planet? As a Federal Investigator, they had more than enough permission to be here and even request to meet with the leader of the planet, some Governor Fillmore. "Investigator, your shuttle is ready." McCoy flipped their tail and began to crawl down into the shuttle bay. Time to go ask questions. "Greetings, Investigator McCoy," the Terran human, female if their files were correct, said with a bright smile. That was a Terran way of appearing friendly. Thankfully McCoy wasn't a prey race, so they understood it better and felt no fear as they craned their head to look up at the human. "Welcome to Valley. I am Governor Jane Fillmore. How may I help you?" They clicked their universal translator to help project their voice up to the human's ears. "Governor, I'm here to investigate the disappearance of the Picza groups from all over Federation space. I have information that pointed me to your planet linked with them." Jane looked surprised. Was that what the translator got from that expression? Was that bad surprise or good? "Oh," the governor said, after a moment, I think I know why. Kareem," she snapped her fingers, and a man seemed to teleport to her side. He moved so fast. "Get me a car. We're going to Sweetston. What is out in Sweetston that isn't here? McCoy rumbled disapprovingly. Trust me, it'll answer all your questions once we get there, Fillmore said brightly as the car pulled up to where they stood and Kareem opened the door for them. After half scrambling up into the car and getting a half apology for not having a seat for them in mind, McCoy was content to ride in silence, perched on the windowsill like an earth dog to watch the scenery pass. After around an hour of driving, they came into view a large box-like tower that was the center of a bunch of activity. Their ears pointed up and began shimmering as their interest piqued. Kareem got out and opened the door for their leader and Federation investigator, and as they jumped to the ground, nose sniffing in the air, they were greeted by the sights of what must be hundreds, no, thousands of Picza, all flowing in and out of the huge building. Unlike the uncontrolled mayhem of a group that had lived station-side, all the Picza looked very neat, happy, and very well fed by the way their exoskeletons were glossy in the strong sunlight. Welcome to Sweetston, McCoy, Fillmore murmured. We recently ran into a group of Picza looking for a home with no big station suited for living in orbit. We offered them some space on planet. But there are so many, McCoy said in astonishment. We sent out some people to recruit more, Fillmore said with a chuckle. Did you know that when there are more than 1,000 Picza in one area, they elect a queen? I didn't know that, but they seem interested in local elections as well, so we don't mind them having their own leader. There was a sound that startled Picza, and from the large knot of them emerged a larger female, taller than the rest of her kind, with vivid yellow and black stripes. McCoy was awestruck. They had never seen a Picza with such vivid stripes, not even the ones in stations with over an abundance of resources for the insectoids. Kareem informed me that you were coming with an investigator, the large Picza trilled. I'm Queen Lotus Vi Tai Moore, leader of Valley Hive for Picza. How may we help you, investigator? McCoy shook their ears in clear shock. Queen Lotus, I'm McCoy, and I've been investigating the disappearance of Picza from stations all across the Federation. Well, what happened? The Queen made a soft churning sound, amusement clear in the translator. The Terrans offered many groups of Picza a home here on Valley, so we came and formed a hive in exchange for the right to live, work, and breed here. We got to participate in local elections, and Valley produces such a surplus of food we may have reconnected with part of our race long lost. Oh, McCoy bent his head to the side to watch another Picza scurry up with a hexagonal container, opened it, and bent down so McCoy could stand on their hind legs to investigate it. Inside the container was a dark golden liquid, smelling sickly sweet to the nose, though he noticed the governor inhaling deeply, enjoying the scent. It turns out that when we gather in large hives, we make nectar with different flavors based on the food we eat. I found out from our myths we used to do this for food storage to weather the harsh winters of our home world, now long lost to war. But when we went to living in space, we never had the numbers nor the food to make nectar happen, the Queen explained with a soft chitter. Now, with the help of the Terrans, we have found it again, and intend to use it for trade with the very least the beings that offered us a home. They say that they can use nectar in all sorts of things. Thank you, Queen Lotus, McCoy said with a bow. I must speak with the governor for a moment, if you please. They flipped their tail at the car, and Fillmore walked over, and McCoy took a leap on the roof to be eye level with the human. Do you think the rules against slavery in this Federation are a joke, Governor? They growled, their iridescent ears shimmering a dangerous red. Bringing them here to be your sentient pollinators. The governor looked shocked for a second and then laughed. Oh no, investigator, of course not. We still use traditional bees and other insects to pollinate our crops. We pay them fair wages. I had no idea when I opened up my planet to being settled by the Picza. I just saw some people who wanted a home, and we had the surplus to feed and house them. The extra workers and honey is just a bonus, and a lost cultural benchmark for the Picza rediscovered all on their own. Absolutely amazing. The fact that we can eat it like Earth and Harmony is just bigger bonus, and it'll bring Queen Lotus her own trade once we get marketing going for it. McCoy let his ears settle and iridescent fade a little, looking at all the well-fed Picza and their apparent leader eagerly trying to offer a stoic Kareem and the Picza and honey case with little success. Is there anything else you need, investigator? Fillmore asked. No, they said slowly. Good. And if you wouldn't mind, I have a report on the settlement and updates in the Galactic Database about population I would love to send back with your ship to Galactic Federation Central. And if you wouldn't mind spreading the word, we would love to have more Picza if they would want to move here. The agricultural planets of Tigris and Euphrates have also agreed to house the Pixar, tired of living in space, and I hear Tigris is even closer to the ancient homeworld of the Pixar than most habitable worlds. Anyways, Pix and wheat honey is to die for on scones, so why wouldn't I want to share? Of course, McCoy said, secretly wondering how the Terran Republic always managed to do the strangest things that somehow worked out. Like somehow becoming Piczakeepers. And what in the name of all the light touched was scones? End of story. I'd greatly like to thank our Tier 5 channel members, Caspar Arnholtz, John Creighton, Manatharia, 050, Dragzoon WRE, and Elijah Silvercross. Thank you very much.